Hey, what's going on, everybody? Just got into the garage today. I've been doing a lot of errands, running around, getting stuff. I ran out of rib nuts, so I had to go get those. I had to go get some wire, had to get a new step bit for my drill. And yesterday, I started doing the intercooler stuff, which I'll show you. Started working on that stuff right there, doing the intercooler pipes. And I didn't have the right blade on my bandsaw, and I jacked it up, so I had to go get some new blades. Now, I knew I had the wrong blade on it, but I was in a pinch, didn't have the right one. But I figured maybe I can save some of you guys the trouble in the future and help you out and show you what blades you should be running when you're doing fabrication stuff like this. So let's run through some of the options. Now, on my bandsaw, I have a 24 TPI blade on it right now. That blade thickness is great for cutting steel. This is a low-speed bandsaw, which is what you usually want to use for cutting steel. You want to use a low-speed bandsaw. Use a high-speed bandsaw, it's not going to work out too well. High-speed bandsaws are usually for softer material and wood, stuff like that. Now, you can put a bimetal blade on a wood bandsaw, and it'll work for a very short period of time. The issue is that when that blade's cutting through hard steel and stuff like that, that blade gets really hot and it changes the molecular structure of the blade. Like when something gets like red hot and then it cools down, it doesn't have the same hardness anymore. So what's gonna happen is it's gonna cut like butter at first, but then as soon as it gets hot, it's gonna stop. It's gonna stop cutting completely. It's gonna start squealing, squeaking. It's gonna turn red, and when you shut it off, you'll notice that it's going to be just flat. There's going to be no teeth left on it. Having the right speed bandsaw for the job is very important, and this is actually a portaband, so it's a portable bandsaw that I built a little table for here, and I basically just have the trigger zip tied down on it, and then I run it to this breaker here that I just flip on. And that's how I turn it on and off, is just with a little breaker switch right there, and then I run my metals through it. Personally, when it comes to cutting aluminum and stuff like that, I actually like how a wood bandsaw with a wood blade on it actually cuts through aluminum. It cuts through it really, really nice. Only downside is with the high speeds, if you're cutting like thin wall tubing and stuff like that, if you hit it in the wrong way, it will yank it out of your hands and crush whatever tubing you're trying to cut. Now, with a low-speed bandsaw and a high TPM blade, teeth per inch, or tooth per inch, whatever you want to call it, there's an issue with cutting aluminum like that, though, and that's that the aluminum is so soft, it will actually clog the blade and not want to cut. Now, say you're in a pinch, and like I was yesterday, and this blade was all I had. You know, I didn't have another blade, everywhere was closed, I couldn't go get one, and I needed to get some tubing cut. There is a trick you can do that will get you through the job, but by the time you're done doing it, you're gonna need to buy a new blade. And basically what you do is, you do your cut slow. You want to go real slow with it if you have a high TPI blade. So you're gonna cut a little bit of the tubing, and then you're gonna pull it out. And then what you do, take a piece of steel, and then I wouldn't use a piece of steel this thick. Probably this is what I was actually using yesterday. You take a piece of steel, and then you just run it up against it for a little bit, and it'll clean all the aluminum out of it. Now, you're still dulling the teeth down on the aluminum big time, but it'll get the chunks out that are getting caught up in the teeth, and then it'll continue to cut. If you don't clean it out, it's gonna stop cutting completely. And I really jacked this blade up yesterday because that's all aluminum that I cut on that, and this is the V-band off of the turbo on the 4508R, so it didn't last very long. It took me probably a half hour to cut through this with that blade, just because I had to go a little bit, stop, clean it, go a little, stop, clean it. So having the right blade on your bandsaw makes a huge difference. Now, this portaband that I use is a Bauer, and I just made a little janky stand for it that just it bolts on, and it's not the greatest. It's kind of flimsy. It's the same specs as like a Milwaukee, but the Bauer is like a third the price. I got it at Harbor Freight, and it actually works fantastic. I liked it so much, I actually got a second one at work that I use, except I built a much nicer, beefier table for it. They're like $100 at Harbor Freight, so it's definitely worth looking into. And there's a company, Swag Off-Road, that actually makes stands like that are designed for those portabands that work really, really well. I've used them in the past, and that's why when I needed to get a bandsaw, that's the route I went. Anyways, that's going to be it for this one. Just a little build tip for you guys out there that are starting to get into fabrication and looking to save yourself some time and some money. Hopefully this helps you out a little bit. If you like the video, like it. If you dislike it, whatever. Subscribe to the channel if you're new. If you have any questions that you might have about any of my fab stuff or anything like that, what I use, equipment, things like of that nature, you know, post down in the comments. I'll be happy to answer questions, maybe do a Q&A video. Maybe if the questions are more specific, I could do a full video on them or anything like that. So that's going to be it. I'll catch you guys later.